Welcome to Native Bloodline, the channel where we uncover the real stories of America's native tribes. From their culture and daily life to battles, leadership, and untold histories, we bring you the truth behind the people who shaped this land. In today's episode, we explore the powerful story of the Iroquois Confederacy, their way of life, their strength, and the legacy that still inspires generations. Long before the United States existed, long before borders, flags, or written constitutions, a powerful native nation had already discovered the strength of unity. This nation was known as the Iroquois Confederacy, one of the most advanced and influential indigenous societies in North America. The Iroquois called themselves Haudenosaunee, which means the people of the longhouse. This name was more than a title, it was a philosophy. Just as many families lived together under one long roof, the Iroquois believed that multiple nations could live together as one people, bound by shared laws, responsibilities, and respect. The Confederacy was originally formed by 5 nations: the Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, and Seneca. Each nation kept its own identity, language, and traditions, yet all were united under a single political and spiritual system. Later, a 6th nation, the Tuscarora, joined the alliance, strengthening it even further. Unlike many societies of their time, the Iroquois did not rely on kings or absolute rulers. Leadership was based on wisdom, experience, and trust. Decisions were not forced through power or violence, but through discussion and agreement. Every nation had a voice, and unity was maintained through balance rather than domination. The land of the Iroquois lay in what is now the northeastern United States, including present-day New York State. Dense forests, rivers, and changing seasons shaped their worldview. Survival in this environment required cooperation, planning, and discipline, values that became deeply rooted in their identity. The Iroquois were not simply a tribe, they were a confederation, a political alliance that understood something rare for its time, that peace among nations was stronger than endless war. Their union was guided by the great law of peace, a system of rules and principles passed down through generations by memory and tradition. This law taught that true strength came from unity, that leadership required responsibility, and that every decision should be made with the future in mind. The Iroquois believed that leaders must consider how their actions would affect not just the present, but the next 7 generations. To outsiders, the Iroquois were respected and feared, not only for their warriors, but for their organization and intelligence. Neighboring tribes and later European settlers quickly realized they were dealing with a people who thought far ahead of their time. The Iroquois Confederacy was proof that Native American societies were not primitive or disorganized. They were structured, visionary, and deeply philosophical. Their ideas of unity, law, and shared power would echo far beyond their forests, influencing the world in ways history is still uncovering. Life among the Iroquois was built on balance, cooperation, and respect for nature. Their way of living was not accidental. It was carefully shaped by generations of knowledge and the land they called home. The Iroquois lived in the northeastern woodlands of North America, a region of dense forests, rivers, and long winters. To survive here, they needed strong shelters and strong communities. This is why they built longhouses, large wooden structures made from tree bark and timber. A single longhouse could shelter many families, sometimes dozens, all living together under one roof. Inside a longhouse, life was communal. Each family had its own space, but fires, food, and responsibility were shared. This structure taught cooperation from childhood. No one lived alone. Every action affected the whole community. Women played a central role in Iroquois society. They were responsible for agriculture, which was the foundation of survival. Using deep knowledge of the land, they cultivated corn, beans, and squash, known as the 3 Sisters. These crops grew together in harmony, nourishing the soil and feeding the people year after year. Men focused on hunting, fishing, and protection. They hunted deer, bear, and smaller game, providing meat, hides, and tools. Rivers supplied fish, while forests offered materials for weapons, canoes, and homes. Every part of nature was used with care. Waste was seen as disrespect. Children learned by watching and doing. Elders passed down knowledge through stories, not books. Skills such as farming, hunting, crafting, and survival were taught early. Respect for elders was deeply ingrained, as they were considered living libraries of wisdom. Clothing was practical and made from deerskin and natural fibers. Moccasins protected feet during long forest travel, while layered garments provided warmth in winter. Decoration through beadwork and patterns expressed identity and tradition, not luxury. Food was prepared communally. Meals were shared, reinforcing unity. Festivals celebrated harvests, seasons, and spiritual balance. Music, dance, and storytelling were essential parts of life, strengthening cultural memory and identity. Despite their organized lifestyle, the Iroquois valued freedom. They were not bound by wealth or possessions. Social status came from contribution, not power. Those who gave the most to the community were respected the most. Their way of life reflected their deeper belief that humans were part of nature, not masters over it. Living in harmony with the land was not a choice. It was a responsibility. This balanced lifestyle gave the Iroquois strength, stability, and resilience. It prepared them not only to survive harsh environments, but to build a society that would endure centuries of change. What truly set the Iroquois apart from other tribes was not their hunting skills, not their weapons, and not even their longhouses. It was their system of law, unity, and leadership. The Iroquois understood something rare for their time, that the strength of a nation comes from organization, shared responsibility, and foresight. The Iroquois Confederacy was originally formed by 5 nations: Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, and Seneca, later joined by the Tuscarora. Each nation maintained its own identity, language, and customs, yet they were all bound together under a single guiding principle, the Great Law of Peace. This law was their constitution, their moral compass, and their method for resolving disputes, all passed down orally through generations, memorized by respected leaders and elders. Leadership in the Confederacy was earned, not inherited. Chiefs, called sachems, were chosen for their wisdom, vision, and dedication to the people. They represented their nations in council meetings, and every decision was made through consensus. Force or coercion was rarely used. Persuasion, discussion, and diplomacy were the tools of governance. Every member of the Confederacy had a voice, ensuring that no single nation could dominate the others. The Confederacy placed extraordinary emphasis on the future. The decisions of leaders were guided by the principle of thinking for the next 7 generations. This meant that every choice, whether about war, alliances, trade, or land, had to be weighed for its long-term impact on the people, the land, and future generations. Such foresight was revolutionary for any society of its time. Their system of law also promoted social balance. Women held substantial influence in Iroquois society. Clan mothers had the power to nominate and remove chiefs. They oversaw community welfare, family responsibilities, and the moral character of leaders. This balance between male and female roles reinforced fairness and stability, ensuring that no single person or group could exploit power for personal gain. The Great Law of Peace was not just a political tool, it was a moral framework. It emphasized non-violence within the Confederacy, respect for elders, and protection of the vulnerable. Conflicts between nations were resolved peacefully whenever possible, and the Confederacy's council acted as a central authority to maintain harmony. European settlers later marveled at the sophistication of the Iroquois system. Some historians believe that the Confederacy's emphasis on representative leadership, checks and balances, and unity directly influenced the formation of the United States Constitution. The Iroquois demonstrated that governance could be structured, fair, and enduring without a monarchy or coercive force. Through law and leadership, the Iroquois maintained a society that was both resilient and adaptable. Their unity allowed them to survive pressures from neighboring tribes, European colonists, and the changing landscapes of the Americas. More than just warriors or hunters, they were strategists, diplomats, and visionaries, building a society that would leave a lasting legacy on history. The Iroquois Confederacy teaches us an enduring lesson. True strength is not power alone, but the wisdom to unite, plan, and govern for the greater good. While the Iroquois valued peace above all else, they were also skilled and disciplined warriors. Their approach to war was nothing like the chaotic battles often portrayed in history books. For the Iroquois, warfare was strategic, purposeful, and deeply tied to their survival and protection of the Confederacy. Every action in battle was guided by experience, intelligence, and a clear understanding of the terrain. The Iroquois were masters of forest warfare. The dense woodlands of the northeastern United States provided both a challenge and an advantage. Unlike open plains where speed might dominate, the Iroquois used silence, stealth, and knowledge of the land to move undetected. Warriors could travel for hours through thick trees, remaining unseen and striking at exactly the right moment. Their ability to blend into the forest made ambush attacks highly effective and instilled fear in enemies. Their weapons were carefully chosen for their environment. Bows and arrows, spears, and wooden war clubs were common. Each weapon was crafted with precision, often from local materials, and every warrior was trained from childhood to use them efficiently. Unlike European forces, the Iroquois did not rely on armor. Instead, agility, awareness, and strategy were their protection. They learned to anticipate the movements of their opponents, striking decisively and disappearing before retaliation. War for the Iroquois was not a matter of conquest for its own sake. It was conducted to defend territory, maintain balance, or settle disputes with other tribes. Before going to battle, warriors often sought guidance from spiritual leaders, paying attention to omens, dreams, and natural signs. Courage was admired, but wisdom was revered. A reckless warrior could endanger not only himself but the entire community. Tactics were precise. Iroquois warriors used coordinated movements, dividing forces into small, agile groups capable of flanking or surrounding the enemy. Communication was subtle. Signals through sounds, gestures, or smoke ensured that no plan was revealed to outsiders. This level of organization and discipline often gave them a decisive edge, even against larger or better armed opponents. In addition to direct combat, psychological warfare was an important element. The Iroquois used war cries, ceremonial displays, and controlled noise to intimidate enemies. Fear was a tool, but it was never senseless. It was carefully employed to protect their people and land. Despite their effectiveness in war, the Iroquois remained committed to resolving conflict peacefully whenever possible. Treaties and negotiations were preferred if they could secure safety and maintain unity. War was a last resort, undertaken only when diplomacy failed. Over generations, this disciplined approach to defense allowed the Iroquois Confederacy to maintain stability and cohesion. Their combination of strategic thinking, skill, and moral guidance ensured that they could survive external pressures from other tribes and later European settlers. More than just hunters or farmers, the Iroquois were protectors of a system, defending their land, culture, and the principles of unity that defined their people. Through war and defense, the Iroquois demonstrated a critical lesson. Strength is not only measured by the weapons one carries, but by the wisdom, strategy, and discipline used to protect one's people. The story of the Iroquois Confederacy does not end with battles or council meetings. Their true power lies in their enduring legacy, which continues to influence both native and modern societies today. Despite centuries of change, displacement, and challenges, the Haudenosaunee people have survived and preserved the essence of their culture, proving the resilience of a nation built on unity and wisdom. When European settlers arrived on their lands, the Iroquois faced unprecedented pressures. Colonization brought diseases, shifting alliances, broken treaties, and land seizures. Yet, unlike many nations who were destroyed outright, the Confederacy adapted. Their political system, grounded in consensus and respect, allowed them to reorganize, protect their communities, and continue practicing their traditions. Even in exile or on reduced territories, the Iroquois maintained councils, longhouses, and ceremonies, ensuring the transmission of knowledge from one generation to the next. The influence of the Iroquois Confederacy extends far beyond their forests. Scholars and historians have long noted that the United States Constitution on and ideas of federalism were shaped in part by the political structure of the Haudenosaunee. Their principles of checks and balances, collective decision-making, and representative leadership inspired some of the earliest architects of American democracy. In essence, the Iroquois showed that governance built on wisdom, consultation, and future-focused thinking could outlast conflict and time. Cultural survival is equally important to their legacy. The Haudenosaunee have preserved their language, rituals, and storytelling traditions despite centuries of outside influence. Festivals, ceremonies, and dances continue to be practiced, reminding the world of a rich heritage that predates the United States by centuries. Their spiritual beliefs, emphasizing harmony with nature and responsibility to the next 7 generations, offer lessons about sustainability, community, and ethical leadership that remain relevant today. The Iroquois also serve as a model of resilience and identity. Through wars, treaties, and forced migrations, they adapted without losing their core values. The longhouse, both as a physical structure and a symbol, represents the idea that unity strengthens survival. Families, clans, and nations are bound together not by fear or domination, but by shared purpose and trust. For the modern world, the Haudenosaunee offer a powerful example of how vision, planning, and unity can endure across centuries. They teach that true leadership is about foresight, responsibility. Thank you, and care for those who come after you. The Confederacy story reminds us that strength is measured not by conquest alone, but by the ability to survive, preserve knowledge, and influence the future. Today, the Iroquois Confederacy continues to exist as a vibrant community. Their councils still meet, their traditions thrive, and their stories are shared with younger generations. The legacy of the Haudenosaunee is not only a chapter in Native American history, it is a living testament to the power of unity, law, and vision. The Iroquois show us that even in the face of overwhelming challenges, a nation built on wisdom, cooperation, and foresight can endure and inspire generations for centuries to come. That's the story of the Iroquois Confederacy, a nation built on unity, wisdom, and resilience. If you enjoyed this journey into Native history, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Native Bloodline, and turn on notifications so you never miss an untold story. Join us as we continue to explore one tribe, one story, and one truth at a time. Ba, ba.